danger move.
Boy.
Or begin to say what's kind of nonsense this. You nail it out with nonsense.
Hey, guys, listen, Ibrahim, quick one. You know what I want to do is I'm gonna show you guys, and I want Africans to see this across the globe, right? For you to understand the difference between Africa democracy and that of the European democracy. So what is actually happening in Africa and what is actually happening in Europe. So you see how, political leaders in Africa, treat their people, like, when it comes to the people holding leaders accountable, right? Because at the end of the day, what is democracy, right? It is the power of the people, for the people, and by the people. So we see in other developed nations where democracies are flourishing. I want to compare what happened with Macron, President Macron of France. And I'm going to show you an example of what happened in Sierra Leone, where the president of Sierra Leone, who is currently illegally sitting there as the president, Maada Bio, had a town hall meeting. And a lady actually stood up to ask a question, and the lady was. I just want you to see the confusion yourself, and then I'll break it down. I don't think I should talk too much about this, but I want you to see the first one is where President Macron is challenged by citizens in France about the role that France has played, in the war between Israel and Palestine and all of that. So I want you guys to see that. And we're going to watch what happened in Sierra Leone, and then you can understand and see why Africa is not progressing, why democracies in Africa is the way it is, and why Africa as a continent is backward as it is at this point. Because leaders are afraid and they don't want to be held accountable. And more so, their supporters, us the people, because a lot of times lack of civic education is the problem that we have in Africa. So the supporters are always even trying to shield the leaders away from people that are asking critical questions to move democracy forward. So watch this video from, France's President Macron, and then you guys will see what I'm saying.
You have blood in your hands. You, Macron. You have blood in your hands. You have blood in your hands. You have blood on your hands. You have blood on your hands. Shame on you!
Hey.
Shame on you!
Hey, calm.
He's coming towards me. He's coming towards us.
This is how you deal with people.
Is that you, children?
You are complicit in the genocide. You can stop it. You can.
I want you guys to watch the body language of President Macron of France. I want you to pay attention to this and just picture Africa, where the leaders can even take it upon themselves to walk the streets and people face them with questions and they stop to actually answer the questions. So pay attention now, guys. I want you all to see African people, why Africa is the way it is, and what it's going to take for Africa to fix itself. So when we get to the point where France and all these other European nations that are advancing and flourishing, where democratic rights, civil rights, and all of that is established, I want you to see the difference. Watch this.
You can say a word.
No.
No what?
No. Could you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please, thank you. First, I was.
President of France sends money on bombs. Listen. Let's listen.
Please. First, we don't provide weapons, we don't provide financing. This is wrong.
You provide political and diplomatic cover.
But come on. Look at what I told from the very beginning. From October 2023, France asked for a ceasefire in Gaza.
No, you said they have the right to defend themselves.
This is very true.
That's the first word that you said.
No, you're right, and I say in the limits of international rule.
Yeah, well, we know that they broke those rules.
Yeah, okay. So
from the beginning.
But this is why.
You waited how long until you said that there was supposed to be a ceasefire? How long did you wait?
Come on, we are not
we
the
want
one.
Actions.
But I agree with you. I want action. This is what we are doing in Lebanon today.
In Lebanon, like when you came when the explosion happened in Lebanon, you came all the way there and you did nothing.
Come on.
What did you do?
We did the maximum.
No, please save it.
No, but we are not the substitute of the government of Lebanon for what.
Yeah, but you could have put sanctions as well.
But we
and
are
you're not going to
putting
put sanctions.
But we did put sanctions, and we are putting sanctions. And let's be clear. We are not the one to provide weapons there. So we call for a ceasefire. We went to the Security Council.
You need to make actions to make that happen.
But what I want,
you should sanction Israel.
Like hundreds of thousands of innocents are being killed.
Both your emotion I understand you're so angry. I'm angry as
I
well.
lost my daughter.
But-
I lost my daughter.
So I do respect that, and all my condolences for that.
I still
And
have my
this is-
family there.
But
They can
let's-
be killed any
But
moment.
let's be clear, you have to make a distinction between those who are in full support or providing weapons and those who are doing their best trying to stop
It's
this
not
war.
your best, sir. It's not your best.
Yes,
You have more in your hands to be done, and you're not deciding to do that.
No, I'm
if you're
sorry.
in power and you can't change nothing, you have to quit.
No, because
If
this
you
is not,
can't
this is not
take
in my
actions,
country. No,
you
but
have to quit.
I respect your emotion and I respect you're so angry, but this is not in my country. When you are a leader elected by your people.
But you're ally with Israel.
No.
Your country is big, one of the biggest allies of Israel.
But
you-
I'm sorry,
you-
we don't provide weapons. For
It's
what's
not about
happening in
weapons.
Gaza.
If
Yes.
you have a role to play, you can put an end to that.
And
right?
this is
By
exactly the role we
sanctioning
are trying to play.
Netanyahu and the war
as
criminals.
And
Not
as
by
well, you don't
speaking.
mention it. Not just by speaking, but by trying to bring all together for an actual ceasefire and a mutual
How
recognition.
long that will take?
And
Tell me.
mutual recognition.
It's almost a year.
I agree with you. I'm as impatient as you
Is
are.
it because we're not white, we don't have blue eyes, you don't care?
No, there is no two standards on my
That's it,
side.
because like what happened in Ukraine, we saw the whole world
No, and look,
supporting.
a lot of people could be as angry as you are because in Ukraine we didn't stop the war as well. So I recognize.
But we could see what you did for the Ukrainians. Even Canada, that you are standing here.
But I can tell you, you recognize what I do for the
I know,
Palestinian
I
people.
know, I know.
Because
but
you
like
speak about
hundreds
the
of thousands
Ukrainians.
of people
For instance,
are being killed as you speak.
when the Americans, under another administration, when Trump was elected, they stopped all the financing for UNRWA. France substituted this financing. We did finance.
But that's not enough.
No,
It's enough.
it's never
that
enough.
doesn't cover for anything. How many people died?
But my point, because you refer to Ukraine, I refer to the point that we were here and we are still here to help Palestinian people. But today we are not the one to be involved in this war. So we do our best.
So who's involved?
With Israel and the Hamas.
But Israel is not acting in the vacuum. They have like the whole West
but,
getting
my
their
point-
back.
No.
Literally today, they got $8 billion from the United States. You're not going to pressure the
I'm not the
United
president-
States.
I'm not the
Yeah, but you're not going
president
to
of the
pressure them to
United
not
But you
do
have
that.
power. You have
So
power. I'm not
I
talking
have
about
power.
nobody.
You have a
I
say.
take my
You,
diplomacy.
France, you have power.
We have a
You can take
diplomacy.
actions.
We
Yeah.
we put all the weight of our diplomacy, and I do hope we will get concrete results. But I just want you to understand what we are doing and where we
It's
stand.
not enough. It's never enough.
I take
it's
your
too
point.
late. Even if you do something, it's too
And we
late.
started the position for a ceasefire in October. But in parallel, we have to work all together, and this is what we are trying to do, to engage all the countries in the region to stop with terrorist groups, because otherwise we will never
Honestly,
stop.
personally, with all
Israel is a
respect,
terrorist
with
group.
all
No,
respect,
Hamas is a terrorist group.
No, they're
No,
not.
no,
Because
no.
they're
It's a
resistance
resistance
fighters.
group.
No, Hamas.
They're
It's a
resistance.
resistance
I'm
group.
sorry, we totally
Yeah.
disagree on that. And what
Well,
you
of
are
course,
telling-
yeah.
No, but what
But-
you say is unacceptable.
But and
They
what-
killed
what-
hundreds of people.
So the Irish,
Sir.
what happened? What about the Irish?
Come
They're
on.
terrorists
Come
before,
on.
and then what happened after that?
But you are
Israel is
mixing
an occupying
everything.
No, we're not
power.
mixing everything.
Like-
You just want to
Could you
believe your own
imagine-
lies.
But no, but you are with a lot of emotion. I do respect that.
Sir,
But,
under the
but
international
imagine
law.
you will face probably in your life the child, the mother, or the husband of somebody being killed by Hamas. How can you dare to say that?
How
So
do you
I don't
dare say that?
justify
Sir,
neither
sir,
a terrorist
under
group.
international
no, this
law.
is a terrorist group.
Away from
Under the
emotion.
UN,
I
they're
want
not
a
a terrorist
ceasefire,
group.
but Hamas.
Under
Away
the
from
UN, they are
emotion.
not
I
a
will
terrorist
have
Under
group.
international
I will have to
law,
rush to
Under
Israel
you, they
is
are a
an
terrorist group.
occupying
Under the UN,
power.
they are
to
not.
exchange this word
That's
with you.
international.
Guys, what I want you to see, I don't care so much about the content of the conversation, but I want you to see exactly what it's like when leaders can allow that space where they can have these kinds of conversations with their people. That is the power of democracy. And this is what we want to teach Africans and African people as a whole in the continent. So I'm going to make a comparison because I want you to see why we see countries like France. Forget all their history, the barbaric history of, the Leopold, all the things they did in Congo and all of that. I'm not going into all of that, right? Let's talk about the state of democracy in these countries and how us as Africans are running to these countries because we believe that they have laws to protect our human rights, our dignities, our civil liberties, right? Because they have systems, they have institutions in place, and they respect humanity. That's what I want you guys to focus on. So now I want to draw that.
Totally disagree on
This
Hamas.
is somebody
I agree on the
who is in a prime minister, of France, Emmanuel Macron, right? the president of France. And I want you guys to see how he engages people in the streets. These are total strangers that are just protesting the fact that France sits by and watches how, Israel keeps bombing, people in Palestine and killing innocent children and this and that and all of that. They're having a conversation. Can you imagine? They created a space to have this kinds of conversation. This is why democracy is moving. Now I'm going to take you to Sierra Leone, and I want you to see what it's like when citizens challenge governments. This was a confined space that was so controlled. This was a Bintumani Conference Center where they had a town hall. Very controlled environment, very controlled space. But this lady dared. She said, you know what? I want to speak up. I have questions I want to ask. I'm concerned about how Sierra Leone, where we going, the inflationary things, the inflations at this particular point in time, for us to even buy the local goods and, food that we can produce in Sierra Leone, they are becoming expensive every now and again. This has nothing to do with international inflation. What is wrong? Why are we not producing some of these basic food that we can actually grow in Sierra Leone? She challenged the government. I want you to see how the whole situation played out. I want you to see why Africa is backward the way it is. I want you to see why democracy is not moving. And I want you to see how African leaders are inflated and protected from us, the people as well, because we are the ones. And this is what is actually happening in Sierra Leone. I want you to see nepotism. I want you to see tribalism firsthand. I want you to see what it's like and why Africa is the way it is today. You're going to see it right there with this video that I'm about to show you. And this will tell you exactly why Africa is backward as it is and why Africa is not going to grow until the people change their mindsets, until there's enough education on civil liberties, on civic rights, until every African understands that everybody has a right to speak, about issues, on how they feel about those issues, right? We see today in America too, like democracy is declining, where if you don't belong to a camp, especially the Trump, MAGA people, right? If you don't belong to their camp, whatever you say, it's like, oh no, you are totally wrong. They are the only ones that are saying the right things. This is the mindset, right? So they've gotten this cult mentality. And I want you to see that play firsthand in Sierra Leone as an example. And I want you to see why democracy is not working in Africa and in Sierra Leone per se, because these guys don't really believe in democracy. I want you to watch this play. I want you to see this for yourself firsthand so you can have an understanding of what I'm talking about. And whilst you're watching this, think about the video you just watched with Emmanuel Macron, who was walking the streets of France. This was impromptu. This was not planned. This was not arranged. He stopped by and spoke with these people. Whilst what you're going to be looking at here in Sierra Leone, this was a controlled environment, town hall meeting. They sent out numbers. Text us numbers with your question. And you're going to hear it firsthand from the Minister of Information sitting right there. You're going to hear it firsthand. So you can see how they're controlling and managing the information so much to the point that it's just absolute slavery. Even themselves, they're slaves to themselves because they're not even free in a democracy for them to allow, open space to where people can ask questions without being planned, just off the cuff. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this.
All right, listen. Generally, personally, I'm not going to give you the mic. Listen.
I want you again, before you're watching this, I want you to understand, if you're watching from any part of the world, this is Sierra Leone. This is the illegal president currently. And I say illegal president currently because he lost the elections. June 24, 2023 in Sierra Leone last year, we had an elections. Until this day, it's been 16 months later, we don't know the results of the elections. The results has not been published. It is not out there. Nobody has a result except for the opposition that kept the RRF forms, the result reconciliation forms. That is something else I can explain. But I want you to know why democracy is not moving in Africa and why we're backward the way we are and why Africans continue to migrate and suffer, go through the Sahara Desert, go through the Mediterranean Sea just to get to greener pastures. I want you to see in real time what it's like when a dictatorship is unfolding in front of our eyes, when people are not free to express themselves. I want you to watch the game. Just watch the concert. Watch the nonsense that is going on. I want you to pay attention. I want you to see, especially the fact that you've seen what how Macron handled that situation. Because again, it's not the contents of what Macron was talking about that matters to me. It is the fact that the space was created to have the conversation where nobody was ostracized. Listen to this attentively. Again, this is in Sierra Leone. A few months ago, when the president organized a town hall meeting, I want you to listen to this. A very controlled environment. I want you to listen to this. This lady was able to break through and she was able to ask a question. But Watch the theatrics. Watch the foolishness that occurred at that moment. Watch everybody in that video, how they were carrying themselves, the supporters. Watch themselves. Watch them. Pay attention. I want you to see why democracy is not working in Africa and what we need to change as a people in Africa. Watch this.
Because I find your action rude. Listen. I find your action rude and
the person you're listening to right now is the Minister of Information telling the lady, I find your action rude. Just because this lady said, I have a question, I'm going to ask this question. I'm not going to go through all the protocols. No, this is a town hall. Let it be free. Let it be free. It should not be stage managed. This is the Minister of Information speaking there. I find your action rude and this and that. Dictatorship, authoritarianism, totalitarianism. That's what you see right there. Pay attention, Africa. I want you guys to learn from this.
And impolite. But you don't say it give you quick 30 seconds.
I'm going to take it back.
Listen. I find your action rude and impolite. But you don't say it give you quick 30 seconds. And listen, but normally you take this action, say this kind of behavior is acceptable in the future. Okay? Because not to so they behave and not to they call land away His Excellency don't talk. When I get on the mic layers. And you get 30 seconds. After that, we'll take the mic from you.
I really sorry, first of all, for my behavior, which is very wrong. I'm sorry, Mr. President. Everybody don't ask question. All man they ask different, but nobody don't ask about agriculture. So now that means if one ask, but una allow me. Some of una then una want this opportunity, but una not able to do one. Una still they clap. Mr. President, 5 years you don't rule me, which is fine. I appreciate you. I voted for you. Yes, 5 years you don't rule. And still, the agriculture sector is poor. Here from the mud. You know how much people they suffer. For it right now, rest now 6 leons. Allow me.
Lord, give me the mic.
No, not for APC. Me na SNPP. Me na from SNPP. Me na SNPP. Me also from SNPP. Okay. Allow me. Allow me. Let me ask you questions. This not for party, please.
Again, if you're watching from anywhere in Africa, I want you to pay attention and understand the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. If you're watching from Sierra Leone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I want you to understand this. This is our democracy. You know, the difference of democracy between European nations and Africa. You're seeing what is actually happening in Africa, how it is unfolding in front of our eyes. No rights to free speech. You see this lady is trying to ask a question and they're coming from all angles telling her she belongs to the opposition. She belongs to this party. She belongs to that and this. She's just trying to ask a question. I want you to pay attention, Africa, because this is why Africa is backward the way it is. And this is why our democracies are not flourishing and our democracies are not working for our people. This is why we struggle with light, water, proper healthcare, good roads, all of that. This is the very reason, because you cannot question the authority. When you do, see the supporters. Watch this. Pay attention.
Mr. President, then they say I buy pepper when at this country, then they produce them. I buy 50 million for cup. This country we supposed to provide that day. You don't rule me for 5 years. You're about to leave us. What are you the
The mic was muted. You see, this is Africa. This is why Africa is not working. They muted the mic from her because she's asking a question about, hey, why is pepper, the price of pepper in the market, so expensive when we can produce pepper for ourselves?
All right.
Listen.
Okay.
You got it.
All right, let's settle down. Una make we settle down. Una make we settle down. Una allow her for let's sit down. Una make we settle down. Everybody listen.
Did you get the question?
All right. Okay, everybody listen now. Now the question, as I understand them, is say nobody not talk about agriculture. Me no say we don't ask at least so many questions on agriculture. His Excellency don't spend a lot of time. So whether the sister not been the listen or not just passion, it's okay. Now make we there for let we get this conversation. I for don't prefer listen. You don't ask your question now.
Now, going to full authoritarian mode. I for don't prefer. I would have preferred. This is what he's saying now. This is the Minister of Information, how he wants it to be done. Because again, remember, they had a town hall. They controlled the space because they did not want no challenges like this. They don't want people to challenge them to, what they're doing that is actually wrong. So it's what he prefers is what he's about to tell the lady. Again, it's a democracy, right? Where it is what the people prefer. If you say you have a town hall, keep the town hall open, so that everybody can ask a question if they could, as much as they want to ask those questions, right? But he's telling us, so listen, I want you to see, guys, what I want you to pay attention to. I'm not even talking about what the issues they are talking about. That's not what I'm even focused on. I'm just focused on the aesthetics of how the president in France handles a situation where he's actually taking a walk in the streets and some stranger, total stranger, is asking a question and he stops there. Emmanuel Macron stops to answer the question, and you can see his body language. He's very humble, very subtle, down to earth. I want you to see what is happening in Africa. Sierra Leone specifically, when that lady was trying to ask a simple question on agriculture. The amount of time it took with all the fighting, the fracas, the confusion. Everybody's telling her not to say this, don't say that. They're attacking her, telling her she belongs to the opposition. That's why this is Africa for us. They're talking about the fact that she's probably not a Mende. That's why she's not an SLPP supporter. These are the things we're talking about. Tribalism, nepotism, regionalism, sectionalism. All of these isms is what's killing Africa. And I want you guys to understand these basics. So you saw what happened, how the president of France handled total strangers in the street, and how the president of Sierra Leone is handling his own citizens in Sierra Leone that are just trying to ask a question. Pay attention. Watch the whole... You saw the whole thing. You see how chaotic it was. Listen to the Minister of Information closing out now. Listen.
I don't prefer if you use the right channels that will set up.
So you have to use certain channels just to communicate and ask your questions. If you don't use those channels that are prescribed, the channels that are proscribed by the dictators, by the authoritarians, by the wannabe, totalitarians, you have to use those channels. That's how this is the only way you can communicate to us. These are the only ways you can talk to us. You cannot just talk to us anyhow. No, you have to go through the channels. When not everybody has access to those channels. But listen, pay attention. I want you to see the difference of why democracies in Africa are backward the way it is, and why Africa is backward as it is to this day. We cannot move our people forward to be civilized. Watch this, and I want you to see the stark difference. Why our brothers and sisters are leaving Africa in droves to travel overseas, because this is what they're dealing with on a daily basis. Listen to this. Listen.
Many nobody but them. 160 questions that then come in on the platform. We make available. We also give people an option for send text free. 818. Send text, it costs you nothing for asking questions.
Because those ways, when people send those texts, then your question would only make it through if it is a great question. What is a great question? A question that suits their narrative. Not the kind of question that innocent citizens want to really send out there to challenge them. So you see, when a lady goes out there who wants to actually ask the real questions, oh no, now you did not go through the proper channels. Because they wanted to stage manage this whole thing so much that even the questions had to be scrutinized for the president before they can actually throw those questions at the president. Pay attention, Africa. This is why Africa is backward.
So for Kanaya, normally, and decide say, now you loud pass we all, so we demand for them to get the microphone. Me personally, I take exception to that. But like I say, the leader, we now His Excellency, we now the daddy, now say I'll give you the mic.
Referring to the president, the leader, the excellency, the daddy, Africa. This is why Africa is backward. Referring to presidents as the daddy. When these guys are just elected by people. They're there to serve. They're calling them daddy, all these fanciful names. This is why they become dictators and authoritarians, and they feel like they own the country. They feel like they own the people, and nobody can say anything to them because of these folks that are around them, calling them daddy, calling them father, calling them the supreme. All of these names. It's what is killing Africa. It's almost finished.
And you don't talk about food prices and agriculture. So at again the chance, may I just respond briefly before you launch?
And I want you to listen to how the president responds.
Okay, thank you very much. And
listen to the response.
Now, a citizen, you get right for talk to a leader.
So he's acknowledging, oh, she's a citizen and she has a right to speak to a leader. And everybody's clapping.
Besides,
well, watch his face, watch his body language, listen to him. Besides, now woman. Oh, she's a woman. Ah, okay.
And we give high place to women.
Oh, and we give high places to women. All right. Everybody's clapping. The same idiots that were actually, oh no, don't answer that question. Don't ask that question. Don't ask that question. Now they are clapping. The leader is speaking. They are clapping. Listen.
The only thing is that
now the exception comes in. Now, the only thing is, let's listen to the only thing is.
Sing. Now listen, please.
An officer, my sister or my pikin be the listen.
Oh, the only thing is, I don't think she was listening. Again, remember, this is a lady who wants to ask a question on agriculture. Why is pepper so expensive in the market? And this is something we grow. But now the president is responding. Say, oh, the only thing is, I don't think she was listening. But it started off with, oh, she's a citizen. She has a right to speak to the leader. Besides, she's a woman and we respect women. But the only thing is, I don't think she was listening. Let's listen.
Or maybe late.
Oh, or maybe she was late to this town hall.
Because when we camp and this, make people then listen. So
that's why when we come to these meetings, we want people to listen.
You understand what they do.
So you can understand what we're doing, okay?
You said the price of rice still the high.
Oh, you're saying the price of rice is still very high. That the president is referring to what the lady is saying. All right, let's listen. He's now acknowledging what the lady was saying about the price of rice. And again, I want to remind you, if you're in Africa somewhere, you're watching this, you don't know much about Sierra Leone. When this guy came to power in 2018, the price of rice was at 200,000 leones, which is our currency. Now it's over 1 million leones. So 800,000 leones was added to it. So imagine if you're dealing with a dollar, right? Let's deal with dollars, right? If something was at $200,000 and within 3 years or 4 years, it's already at $1 million. That's what I want you to think about. That's the equivalence. But listen attentively. I want you to pay attention. Now is challenging the young lady to the fact that the price of rice is very expensive. Let's listen to what he has to say. Pay attention. Dictatorship in Africa and why democracies in Africa are not working for the people. Listen to them.
You get for high because
he's justifying the fact that the price of rice has to be high. He's about to tell us why. He says it's okay. The price of rice has to be high. It has to jump exponentially within 4 years from 200,000 leones for a 50 kilogram bag of rice to about 1 million leones within 4 years. He's telling us why. Listen.
Because the rest of they get now, like Chinese man, they plant them.
Oh, because the rice that we are getting in Sierra Leone is planted by Chinese in China. I want you to listen. It's justifying why the prices of the commodities are expensive. But again, like I said, I'm not so focused on what topic is being talked about. My goal for this particular presentation is for you to see the difference, how African leaders handle the African setting as a whole, how they handle citizens that are challenging their leaders versus those of our counterparts in Europe or in America or other advanced democracies across the world. That is what I want you to focus on and see how the space is created. Listen to this.
Pakistan, Japan, they put on a ship, they pay for them, Ikanaya, we charge, we not begin produce your own receipt.
All right, he's saying the rice comes from Pakistan, India, all of these places. They put it on board a ship, and the ship brings it to Sierra Leone, and then they have to charge fees. And we haven't started producing our own rice in Sierra Leone yet. For a president who came to power 3 years ago, prior to this town hall, they launched what is called Toma Bomb Rice. I'm just giving you guys context into this, but like I said again, I'm not so focused on the topic at hand. I just want you to see how Africans actually treat each other when it comes to dealing with our leaders, how we ask questions and all of that. Because remember, you saw the way Emmanuel Macron of France was challenged in the streets of France, and he stood there, took these questions very humbly, answering the question. None of his security guards and all of these people, nobody was fighting those people to say, oh, you cannot do this. They were arguing with them. Nobody was like, oh, don't talk to him. Take the mic away. Well, there was no mic in that case, but like, move, Mr. President, don't talk to her. No, just move. Let's forget about her. Forget about them. Don't talk to them. Nobody was putting up an attitude like that because that's democracy. They understand the power of the citizens actually asking questions to their leaders because they're the ones that voted him. But in Sierra Leone, you saw what happened. You saw the shenanigan and all of that. So I don't even want to go into the answer, the way he answers the question. And you will see, let me take it further so you can see how he answered the question eventually, which is a shame in itself.
I don't know who say if I don't ask this question before I come, because
now the challenge opens. Remember when he started speaking, he said, oh, she's a woman, we respect women, we have a special place for women. But now listen to his tone. The tone has completely changed as a president. I don't know where you were at because you were supposed to ask this question before I came. Guys, just listen. I want you to understand what's happening in Africa and why Africa is the way it is today. This is the problem we're dealing with. So listen to this.
You don't begin eat rice before this president they come.
Oh, you started eating rice before I even came to power. This is the president talking to the lady now. You started eating rice before I came to power. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The only difference is that this president, they give this opportunity because
oh, the only difference is that myself, as a president, I'm giving you an opportunity. Can you imagine when it is the citizens that are actually giving them the opportunity to serve them? But he thinks that he's giving the citizens an opportunity. Listen to this.
With the open up dialogue.
This president is actually allowing and opening up the space for dialogue, and that is a lie because his predecessor, former president Julius Maada Bio, when he was in power, we saw radio stations, newspapers, social media kind of took off. These guys, the supporters of this guy right here, were on the social media using abusive invectives on people, abusing their mothers and all of that kind of stuff. So the space was opened, nobody was arrested and none of that kind of stuff. But listen to him now. You see how he changed from she's a woman, we respect women, and now you see is on full ballistic mode, attacking the lady now because I'm the president who gave you a space. That has nothing to do with the question the lady asked about the prices of goods and services like pepper, how expensive pepper has become. That has nothing to do with that. But he's telling her that I'm giving you the opportunity to speak. Listen to this. Listen.
But the same question, if you don't answer, ask him. Few years back, maybe nobody no go even listen to you because agriculture not been the power agenda.
This same question, if you have asked this same question a few years back, that means she should have asked this question to the previous regime in power. You see, Africa, this is a man who was already at this point in time, whilst he was sitting at this conference, at this town hall, he's been in power for almost 5 years, over 5 years. But he's still referring this lady to say she should have asked this question when the former government was in power, because then maybe they would not even be here asking about that question. Can you see why Africa's democracy is not moving? Because these guys, this is what they think of themselves. They don't see themselves as servants. They don't see themselves as boy. But listen to this.
We will say infrastructure. And we not say the
He said the previous government had nothing to do with agriculture and this and that. They were focused on infrastructure. But you were the same one who came to power and said, hey, I'm going to focus on the Tomabom rice. We're going to produce enough rice for Sierra Leone, so much that we can sell to other countries across West Africa. This was the promises that he made when he came to power. It was telling the people that, hey, listen, the price of rice was 60,000 leones. Now it's 200,000 leones, without taking into cognizance the fact that, the minimum wage increased drastically as well. So people could actually afford to buy a bag of rice with the amount of salary that they were getting paid. Because even those that are getting minimum wage could afford to buy a bag of rice and still have some money left, even though it was not enough, because we believe that Sierra Leoneans should be making at least a month, at least the equivalent of, at least $2,000. The average Sierra Leonean, worst case scenario, should be getting $2,000 a month, the equivalent. Worst case scenario, should be making $2,000 a month. It could be more because we have so much resources. But this is Africa for you. Listen to a president speak to his people, the ones that actually elected him into office. Listen to this.
Infrastructure. Waiting me don't say I they do for agriculture. I they make sure say it happen.
This is all bullshit. But like I said again, what I want to do with this live, my goal was to just point out to you guys exactly what it's like in Europe and in Africa, so you can compare and contrast and see how these leaders behave themselves when they're in front of their people, how humble they are, what they know about democracy, how they respect people's rights. This is a president that has never even taken the time to walk the streets of Freetown so that people can ask him questions impromptu. But everything is controlled. All the space is controlled. Everything is controlled. So even in this town hall, it was all controlled. And when this lady dared to ask a question, you all saw how she was handled by the supporters. It was a shit show. Shame on us as Africa. And this is what we have to work towards to get ourselves out of this. Until we get out of this, where leaders believe that they're actually servants to the people, that's the only way Africa is going to move forward. Where leaders could take questions from the people and not attack them back and just respond to those questions as they come with the people. And where the supporters would just shut the hell up and listen and allow citizens to be able to express themselves. Because again, in Sierra Leone, when we talk about the Constitution, Section 5, subsection 2, it says, through this Constitution, sovereignty belongs to the people, and the government derives its legitimacy, its authority, and its power from the people. Democracy is the power of the people, for the people, and by the people. This is why Europe, America, our democracies are flourishing, people's rights, civil liberties are respected. But in Africa, you see the state of Africa today. Our people are suffering constantly. This is why. Thank you. Bye-bye.